What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. A couple of massive wins for Doge and for the American people potentially here. Now, I've been talking about for the past, I don't know, week or two, all these Doge cuts. They're amazing, they're hilarious, they're headline grabbing. But at what point will the Department of Government Efficiency pay it forward at all? What point will they help? Can a brother get a refund? Now, in some cases, they're just cutting stuff going forward, meaning there's no additional free quote unquote money. They would just move that money from the budget, unless you're Michael Scott and you think that you just get that money anyway. So they just cut it from the budget going forward. There is no magic refund. However, in the case of, for example, FEMA, and having their ridiculous, multi-million dollars that we did claw back, $29 million or something like that for illegal aliens. How many of these other things were we able to claw back? And how much of that money should we be giving back to the American taxpayers who paid for this stuff? Well, we now have a number. Every American to get a $5,000 check following massive budget, $5,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't remember what the last Trump checks were. They were like 1,200 or something like that. And then I remember, didn't Obama send checks for like 500 or 600? I can't remember. The more kids you had, the more money you got, because that's where our stupid government works. But anyway, this would be bonkers, okay? Elon Musk showed interest in an idea that would guarantee a $5,000 payment or a Doge dividend to every American to show off the $55 billion in taxpayer funds saved. This would be, put his face on Mount Rushmore if Trump did this. $5,000 tax return. That would be life-changing for a lot of people. People living paycheck to paycheck, suddenly they get 2 months' pay, right? They're tax-free. That could be the difference between, people paying their mortgage this month. They can get ahead. Yes, I know what everyone, we're going to get all the videos from the hood where people are buying, pound bags and be like, thanks, Donald Trump, you're my president. Fine. If you want to spend your money that way, fine. For me, I'd probably pay off some bills. But the reality is 5Gs is a lot of cash. Doge claims the savings were found through a combination of detecting and deleting fraud, canceling contracts and leases, and selling assets. Investment firm CEO James Fishback had an idea for how to make Americans aware of just how much money there was being saved. President Trump and Elon Musk should announce a Doge dividend, a tax refund check sent to every taxpayer, funded exclusively with just a portion of the total savings delivered by Doge. Musk replied, curious, but said, we'll check with the president. This is a type of thing that Trump would be all about. Put his face on the checks, fine by me, Elon can put a little Doge insignia on there. All the people that invested in Doge could maybe make some money. It would be nuts. Fishbeck added that American taxpayers deserve a Doge dividend. Just 20% of the money that Doge saves should be sent back to hardworking Americans as a tax refund check, which I 1,000% agree with. It was their money in the first place. At $2 trillion in Doge savings and 78 million tax-paying households, this is $5,000 per household, with the remaining used to pay down the national debt. Elon Musk, let's do this. This is how we rebuild trust in our government. And he is 1,000% right. Here he talks about deleting entire agencies.
We do need to delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind,
they fester and grow again.
It's kind of like leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove
Correct.
the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them. We really have here rule of the bureaucracy as opposed to rule of the people, democracy. So we want to restore rule of the people. And so what that means is reducing the size of the federal government, basically reducing regulation.
All of this is great. Even liberals. Here we have Jon Stewart saying, Jon Stewart reveals the anti-Trump insult he's sick of liberals using, warning that it's lost its power. Listen to this.
What do you say to your critics who are saying that you're taking light on the fascist message recently?
Oh,
Fascist.
I tell my critics, shut up. You're a fascist. No. So I do appreciate that because I understand the desire, but like I'm very big on, and I know it's annoying,
Words matter.
but specificity
Yeah.
and nuance. And I think if
This
you
video's a little
try
quiet.
fascism at every administrative overreach, even the ones that are constitutionally okay, you will find yourself out of fascism bullets when the time really comes to remind people of, because you will, I think what the media has done over the last 10 years is cry wolf to the point where they numbed everybody. It was an anesthetic. And it got to where, what was the thing they litigated throughout this campaign? He's a fascist, he's a terrible person. Democracy is on the ballot. Guess what lost at the ballot? If you told us democracy is on the ballot, well, democracy got its ass kicked by a majority vote. So I'm very cautious about when to know, like, yeah, hopefully I won't do it the night after Kristallnacht. I'll get it, like, but it's like, when do you put your dog down? Like, it's one of those things, like, you're not quite sure.
I mean, sure. Then we had this great clip, Elon Musk comparing Trump derangement syndrome to rabies. I mean, I would argue it's true.
I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these
He
days.
killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really didn't.
Well, I mean, it's this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome. And I didn't, you know, you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and everything was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And then I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies. Okay.
Whoops, my mic fell.
What is wrong? Like, guys, like you can't have like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like they become completely irrational.
Now, I haven't. In Wisconsin, people just, you know, they don't like Trump. They either do or they don't, or they're indifferent. There's not a lot of TDS out here. Maybe if you would, you know, go into the city, maybe the capital in Madison, you would see some TDS. In Hawaii, there's TDS, very much so. I have seen exactly 2 Trump hats here, and I have delivered them both legendary fist bumps, and they knew exactly why. You know, TDS is real and a very serious disease. Few recover. Let's not forget EDS, which has become a new strain. Much like many diseases will mutate, TDS has now mutated into Elon derangement syndrome too, because nobody cares anymore about Trump derangement syndrome. Now we also have this legendary win. Judge denies Democrat effort to block DOGE access, citing the lack of any proven harm. The Democrats who have been saying, oh my God, he's going to have access to this and that. Okay, has that happened? Do any Americans actually care that Elon Musk, because quite frankly, nobody. Elon Musk is not looking at individual people's tax returns, but our politicians are saying, oh my God, you have to look at this. You have to look at, it's an individual tax return thing. Everything's falling apart. They don't care about my tax returns or your tax returns. They care about the tax returns of like super huge mega corporations. They care more so, by the way, not even necessarily about tax returns, but of how these agencies are getting and using their funding. The IRS is not funding stuff, it's generating revenue. It shouldn't be doing that. The IRS should be taking exactly what it well, the IRS should be abolished, but in this world where the IRS does exist, the IRS should be taking exactly what they need and not a penny more. That's the purpose of the refund. Except that's not what they're doing. They give us some few pennies back of the money. I mean, try owning your own business. I mean, I know taxes are hard on everybody, okay? Everybody. We agree on that. I pay nearly 50%, nearly 50 cents on every dollar that I make goes to the government. You know, how do you think I feel when I see DOGE cutting this spending? 50 cents on every dollar I pay to the government. Oh, I am a self-employed? Well, now I pay double tax. I pay tax on my employees. I pay tax on my building. I pay tax on... It is unbelievable the amount of things I pay taxes on. This is why it's hard for small businesses to make it in this country. They're like, oh, you're generating revenue? Oh, well, we're going to have, one law applies to Jeremy the individual, which I also get taxed. By the way, I get taxed as an individual because I'm an employee of my company, but my company also gets taxed right up the rear end, no loop, every year. And there's no refunds there. I mean, it is bonkers how much money I have to give to the federal government. And that's money that I could be spending on more employees. I could be spending it on, different operations, expanding my social media reach, stuff like that. This is a huge win for Trump, a huge win for DOGE. And if they do deliver this gigantic check to the American people, public opinion on him will change on a dime. And I bet you there'll be a whole lot of liberals who are living 6 to an apartment with 12 cats who are going to take that check and cash it the day they get it because they're happy. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.